Have you ever thought about how much you might better feel if your digital life was more organized? It's been over months since I decluttered my iPhone, and I have to say that it could really free up my mind and I feel less distracted. Decluttering my digital life has helped me to focus on what's important, and as a result, I found that my productivity and creativity have both improved, and I'm sure it can do the same for you. I started by removing any unused apps from my iPhone by holding down each app and tapping delete. This helped me get rid of any unused apps that were cluttering my mind and made me more in control. So I went to Settings, General, and check the color bar that shows how much space different categories are taking up on my device. I scrolled down to find the apps that were taking up the most space. I could either choose to offload them, which temporarily disables the app without deleting its settings, or delete them completely to clear out their cache. I prefer to delete the apps that were taking up the most space and then download and reinstall them again. I also checked inside some of the apps for the ability to clear out their cache directly. I didn't stop there by deep cleaning. There are a few apps on our phones that we should open them one by one in order to deep clean and organize. One of them is the photo gallery. So after freeing up some space, I opened my photo gallery and started selecting duplicated or unwanted photos and videos, and then transferred almost the rest of them to my external hard drive. And another option is to buy storage and use iCloud Photos to automatically back up your photos. I went to the recently deleted photos and deleted them all permanently. I even created a few albums to categorize these photos into different folders for more organization. Next up, I tackled my emails. I started by deleting unimportant ones like marketing emails, newsletters, and anything in my spam and trash folders. This step can also be done from your laptop by selecting all the emails and deleting them at once. After decluttering my inbox, I moved to my internet browser. We all have a lot of tabs open when we're searching online. So I tapped and held the overlapping squares and clicked on Close All Tabs. And then I deleted any unwanted bookmarks or created new ones if I wanted. I also cleared the browser cache and web browser history, which felt deeply satisfying. Other apps that I use frequently are Apple Notes, Contacts, and Messages. So I went through each of them and deleted any extra stuff like old notes, contacts, voicemails, and conversations. When I was decluttering my mind and my digital space, one big step I took was deciding who and what to follow in my digital life. I went through all my social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, even my emails, and I started unfollowing and unsubscribing from newsletters or people who didn't align with my goals. Another thing was going through my privacy settings on social media and setting up two-step verification for my accounts to ensure my personal information is safe. There are some other important settings in iPhone that if we take a look at them every once in a while, it's worth it. So I opened the settings, scrolled down, and thought about the apps I use most frequently. I opened them one by one and checked what type of access I gave to that app, like using my location or data, and turned some of them off and kept the others on. And to declutter my mind even further, I installed an app like LastPass to remember all of my passports for me, so I don't have to memorize and confuse all these passports for different accounts. I also made sure to update all of my apps to their latest version, as there are often new and useful changes as well as bug fixing updates. Another setting I usually do is adjusting camera quality. So I went to my camera setting and changed the quality to 1080 because the more quality the videos and pictures have, the more space they want. And I think 1080 is enough for my iPhone. Lastly, I found it satisfying to close the apps running in the background. I swiped from the bottom towards the middle to see all running apps and close them one by one. Personally, I found the next step to be a game changer. Notifications can be a real distraction in our lives. So I went to my settings and selected the option for notifications. I chose when and where I wanted my app notifications to appear. There is also an interesting option called Scheduled Summary that you can turn on. I selected the apps that have non-urgent notifications and scheduled the time for me to receive a summary of those notifications, such as once or twice a day. And I think this is a really cool feature that can decrease digital distractions. Then I went through each app, turning off all unnecessary notifications, and I set a schedule for myself to check them twice a day. Additionally, you can turn on the Don't Disturb mode to silence all notifications, which is great for when you want to sleep, work, or study. But for all of my apps, I kept the notification badges on, which are the red dots with a number inside. They would show me how many notifications I received in any given app, allowing me to know if there are new messages, calls, emails to check. For me, the next step was organizing my files. It's like you can manage all your files, documents, downloads, and other stuff. So I created a few folders by simply tapping and holding my files, and then moved them to their related folders, and then grouped similar files into folders. For example, I prepared digital copies for all my paper documents, transferred my resume from my laptop, so I know exactly where to find them quickly when I need them. And this is exactly how I organized my digital space to not only improve my file management strategy, but also manage my time. The last step was the most eye-catching one for me. If you swipe left, you'll see the library where the apps are automatically sorted into categories, but sometimes I like to categorize them by myself on separate home screens, especially because I'm gonna use different focus modes during the day, and I'll be sure to share the tips in my future videos. So for categorizing these apps, first I did a long press on the app to enter wiggle mode, and then moved it on top of another app with the same category to create a folder. Then I went to find all similar apps. To move them quickly, I did a long press with one finger, and with the other finger, I simply tapped on the related apps to add them, and then move them all together into their folder. With this method, I created different folders for social, business, creativity, productivity, lifestyle, and others. I even moved the important apps that I use every day to my first screen, and then put the apps I use most down in the toolbar. I also created some widgets, as they are super useful for providing us with the information we actually need. So for creating widgets, I touched and held an empty area, tapped the plus button, scrolled down and saw different types of widgets, and chose the one I needed. Since you can group multiple widgets into a stack on your home screen, you can pack a lot into small space without it feeling cluttered. So I touched and held one of the widgets, and then tapped Create Stack, then added my favorite widget to it. And like the previous method, you can edit or replace them by a new widget. So after categorizing all the apps, I wanted to just delete extra pages from my phone. So I touched and held an empty area on my screen again, and this time tapped the dots near the bottom of the screen, then uncheck the page I wanted to hide, or even tap minus to remove that page. After that, I went to settings, opened wallpaper, and chose new wallpapers for both my lock screen and home screen. This way, I decluttered for a more intentional digital space and more peace of mind. So I decided to make monthly decluttering a habit in my life. It just feels so good to have my digital space in control. I decluttered my iPhone last month. I'm gonna start it again by wiping my screen, and I'll be sure to share more tips with you in the future. Thanks for watching.